It's finally here. Week 1 of the NFL season, and the Buffalo Bills are kicking things off at home in what will be the final season opener at the old Highmark Stadium. Sunday night football. Primetime. Bills versus Ravens. And if you're part of Bills Mafia, you already know the energy in Orchard Park is going to be absolutely electric. But what has to happen for the Bills to come out on top against a Baltimore team that's just as hungry? Let's break it down. This is a heavyweight matchup right out of the gate. Two teams that are no strangers to postseason appearances, both led by dynamic quarterbacks, both with coaches under pressure to deliver that next-level breakthrough. Buffalo's coming off a 13-4 season where they took the AFC East and grabbed the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Baltimore, right behind, finished 12-5 and won the AFC North. And while both teams have had their share of success, they've also had their fair share of frustrations in January. The difference? Buffalo's been more consistent lately when it comes to actually winning playoff games. Now here's the thing that gets overlooked. Everyone talks about Kansas City being the final boss in the AFC. And sure, that's true. But let's not pretend Baltimore hasn't hit their own roadblocks. Since 2018, the Ravens are 3-6 in the postseason. That's not exactly elite. And Lamar Jackson, as talented as he is, has struggled in the big moments. Meanwhile, Josh Allen has been lights out in the playoffs. He's won at least one postseason game every year since 2020. Outside of the Chiefs, no other team can say that. So when people talk about pressure on Sean McDermott, it's worth noting John Harbaugh is dealing with a very similar narrative down in Baltimore. The only difference is in Buffalo, the quarterback has delivered in crunch time. So what's the context for this game? The Ravens are coming in with Lamar Jackson at the peak of his powers. 28 years old, entering year 7, and fresh off a season that saw him post MVP level numbers. 67% completion rate, over 240 passing yards per game, 41 total touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. The efficiency metrics are off the charts. Number 1 in EPA per dropback, number 1 under pressure, number 1 on quick throws, number 1 when holding the ball. No matter how you slice it, Lamar was an elite quarterback last year. But that doesn't mean he's unstoppable. There is one very specific area where Lamar struggles, and it just so happens to align with the Bills' evolving identity on defense. When facing a 5-man rush with man coverage behind it, Lamar drops all the way down to 23rd in EPA per dropback. That's a massive dip. And guess what? That's exactly the type of defense the Bills have been trending toward. You saw it in the playoffs. You saw it in training camp. You even saw glimpses in the preseason. The Bills want to get aggressive. They want to bring extra pressure. They want to challenge receivers one-on-one and disrupt the quarterback's rhythm. So while Lamar is exceptional in many areas, that's one spot where Buffalo can really look to exploit. Of course, it won't be easy, especially without a few key pieces. The Bills are heading into this game without their first-round cornerback, Maxwell Harris, and without edge rusher Michael Hoy. Two major investments on the defensive side of the ball. Their absence could limit just how fully Buffalo can lean into that 5-man pressure scheme in Week 1. But still, even without those players, the plan is clear. You want to make Lamar uncomfortable. You want to take away the easy throws. You want to get him off his first read. And most of all, you want to force him to be special. Because if he beats you that way, you live with it. But don't make it easy for him. The other piece of the puzzle is Derrick Henry. Yes, Derrick Henry is now a Baltimore Raven. Let that sink in. 6'2", 250 pounds, still a freak of nature, and now paired with Lamar in the backfield. That's a nightmare. But again, the key is the same. Make him earn every yard. Don't give him gaping holes. Don't lose gap integrity. Go back and look at that long touchdown he had against the Bills a few years ago. It wasn't some unstoppable run. Buffalo was simply out of position. They gave him a straight line to the end zone. 100 other running backs would have scored. That can't happen again. Structurally, the Ravens do have some weaknesses that could work in Buffalo's favor. They're missing key personnel that impact their ability to line up in their preferred heavy sets. Patrick Ricard, their fullback, hasn't practiced. Isaiah Likely, their number 2 tight end, is also unlikely to suit up. That matters. Baltimore loves to load the box with extra blockers. They want to create additional gaps, and let Lamar and Henry operate behind a wall of bodies. If they can't do that, their offense becomes more one-dimensional, and that gives the Bills more leverage on defense. Personnel-wise, the Ravens have firepower, no doubt. Zay Flowers is electric. Quick, twitchy, a rising star. Rashad Bateman is a polished route runner with size and ball skills. DeAndre Hopkins, while not the explosive weapon he once was, is still a savvy, reliable target who thrives when the play breaks down. And of course, there's Mark Andrews. Even though he's had some costly mistakes in the past against Buffalo, he's still one of the best tight ends in the league and a legit red zone threat. But again, there are cracks. Their offensive line, while solid in spots, has some question marks. Andrew Voorhees, the left guard, is inexperienced. Daniel Falele at right guard is massive, but struggles in pass protection. The Bills' interior pass rushers need to take advantage of those matchups. So what does the defensive game plan look like for Buffalo? First, make Lamar and Henry beat you the hard way. If they're going to get theirs, fine, but don't hand it to them. Second, disrupt the rhythm. 5-man pressures, man coverage, crowd noise, whatever it takes. Make them uncomfortable. And third, win situational football. Third downs and red zone defense have been trouble spots for the Bills. Last year, they were bottom tier on third down stops and only average in red zone defense. Meanwhile, Baltimore was elite in both areas offensively. That's how to flip. Another area where Buffalo can gain an edge is along the defensive line. Ed Oliver, Deion Walker, and T.J. Sanders, all athletic, quick defensive tackles, should be able to create problems for Baltimore's guards. Greg Rousseau and Joey Bosa on the edge also have favorable matchups, especially with Baltimore starting a second-year tackle in Roger Rosengarten. This is a game where the Bills' defensive front needs to win and win often. It's going to be a chess match. On paper, both offenses have weapons. Both quarterbacks can change the game in an instant. But the difference might come down to execution, discipline, and making the other team uncomfortable. The Bills have the defensive personnel, the scheme flexibility, and the home crowd advantage to make that happen. The key is sticking to the plan, not overreacting to big plays, and forcing Baltimore to prove they can win in a style they're not used to playing. Let's start with what Baltimore brings to the table defensively. They were one of the best units in the league last season, finishing top 10 in points allowed, top 10 against the pass, and second in EPA against the run. They're aggressive, they're physical, and they're fast. But just like with Lamar on offense, the strength of this defense has a few pressure points you can go after, and the Bills are one of the few teams with the personnel and the quarterback to actually capitalize. At the heart of Baltimore's defense is linebacker Roquan Smith. He's a tone setter. Rangy, physical, smart. One of the best linebackers in the game. But next to him, that's where the cracks start to show. Trenton Simpson is the guy Baltimore is trying to plug in as a full-time starter next to Smith. But if you watched them last year, you saw what happened when Simpson was on the field. Missed assignments, poor run fits, coverage breakdowns. Baltimore's defense didn't take that next step until they benched him. And now, here we are in Week 1, and they're putting him right back into the starting lineup. That's a big gamble, and it's exactly where the Bills need to attack. The blueprint is simple. Get Trenton Simpson in conflict. Make him think. Force him to react in space against tight ends and running backs. Because Buffalo has plenty of weapons that can test him. James Cook is an underrated route runner with speed and soft hands. Ray Davis has flashed in the passing game all preseason. Ty Johnson brings a burst and veteran experience. And then there's Dalton Kincaid. The Bills didn't draft him in the first round to block. He's a mismatch nightmare. Line him up against Simpson in man coverage and let Josh Allen do the rest. These are the kinds of matchups you have to win. But it's not just about attacking one weak link. The Ravens' defense as a whole has undergone some changes that could lead to early season growing pains. Their defensive backs are talented, but they haven't played a ton of snaps together. You've got a rookie first-rounder in Malachi Starks starting at safety. Nate Wiggins, another first-round pick, starting at corner. Then you've got guys like Jair Alexander or Chido Awuzie trying to reestablish themselves after injury-plagued seasons. Even Marlon Humphrey, who's still one of the league's elite corners, has been banged up. These guys haven't had much time on task together, And that lack of chemistry in the secondary can be deadly against a quarterback like Allen, who knows how to manipulate defenders with his eyes and extend plays outside the pocket. Buffalo has to take advantage of that. That doesn't mean Josh needs to come out chucking 50-yard bombs on the first drive. What it means is you trust your reads, you spread the ball around, and you stay patient. Last year in the playoffs, the Bills' offense didn't try to do too much. They let the game come to them. They capitalized on mistakes. They trusted the defense to get them the ball back. That's the approach Allen has to carry into this game. He even admitted this week that he's been inconsistent in season openers. Sometimes he's trying to win the MVP on every snap. He's mature enough now to know that isn't how you win big games. You win by staying in rhythm, taking what the defense gives you, and then hitting the knockout punches when they're actually there. And when those shots do open up, Buffalo has to be ready to take them. Gabe Davis, Keon Coleman, and Khalil Shakir all bring different skill sets that can stretch the field in different ways. You want to see Coleman tested down the boundary early. You want to see Davis take advantage of any one-on-one looks, especially if the Ravens are bracketing Stephon Diggs. And you absolutely want to see Shakir move around and find soft spots in the zone, especially if the safeties start creeping up to help against the run. But perhaps the most interesting wrinkle for this game might be the use of tempo. If Buffalo can find a rhythm early, they should test this Baltimore defense with some no-huddle or quick-huddle looks. Make the Ravens show their hand. Force those young defensive backs and that green linebacker into real-time decisions. That's how you create breakdowns. Up front, Buffalo's offensive line will have their hands full. Baltimore's front seven is deep and physical. Justin Matabike is a monster. Travis Jones is underrated. Odafe Owa is explosive off the edge. Kyle Van Noy is still causing problems even in his mid-30s. The Ravens are going to bring pressure, and they're going to bring it from different angles. But the good news for Buffalo is that their offensive line has quietly become one of the more consistent units in the league. Spencer Brown has continued to develop. Deion Dawkins is a steady veteran. And the interior trio of McGovern, Morse, and Torrance can hold up against bull rushes and blitzes. The key will be communication. Baltimore disguises their pressures really well, and they love to overload one side or bring a nickel or safety off the edge when you least expect it. If the Bills can identify that pre-snap and adjust protections accordingly, they'll give Allen a clean enough pocket to operate. One of the biggest X factors in this game will be the red zone. Last season, the Ravens had the best red zone offense in the league. But defensively, they were only middle of the pack. The Bills, on the other hand, were middle of the pack in red zone scoring on offense, but allowed way too many touchdowns defensively inside the 20. If this game turns into a slugfest, and it might, those red zone trips are going to define it. You cannot settle for field goals against Baltimore. When you get inside the 20, it has to be 7. And that's where your big body weapons like Kincaid, Coleman, and even Dawson Knox need to show up. Put the ball in tight windows. Trust your guys to win contested catches. Be aggressive when it counts. Another area to watch is special teams. For the first time in what feels like forever, Justin Tucker is not the kicker for the Ravens. That role now belongs to rookie Tyler Loop. And while he was solid in the preseason, this is his first real NFL game in primetime in front of a hostile Buffalo crowd. That matters. On the flip side, Baltimore's return game is dangerous. Keaton Mitchell and Justice Hill are both legitimate burners. And rookie Leone Wester is slippery in the open field and already housed a punt return in preseason. Coverage units have to be disciplined. You cannot afford to give away field position in a game like this. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. The NFL rumor mill is buzzing like never before as whispers around Micah Parsons' future have set Buffalo Bills fans on fire. Sources close to the situation claim that the star linebacker, one of the league's most feared defensive players, is reportedly heading to Buffalo. While nothing has been officially confirmed, the mere suggestion has sent shockwaves through social media, with Bills fans already imagining a defense that could dominate any offense in the league. Parsons, known for his relentless pass rush and game-changing presence on the field, would represent a seismic shift for the Bills' defensive strategy. Imagine him lining up alongside the team's existing core, instantly elevating the defensive front to a level few offenses could hope to challenge. Analysts are already speculating on the formation changes and schemes that could maximize his talent, noting that Parsons' versatility could allow Buffalo to deploy complex blitz packages and coverage schemes that keep quarterbacks guessing every snap. The excitement among the fan base is palpable. Social media is awash with speculation, memes, and bold predictions. Some envisioning the Bills as instant Super Bowl contenders, others marveling at the potential chaos Parsons could unleash on opposing quarterbacks. Conversations in local bars and online forums have taken on a feverish intensity, with fans debating everything from jersey numbers to defensive alignments. Meanwhile, NFL insiders caution that while the reports are tantalizing, nothing is finalized. Trades of this magnitude often involve layers of negotiations, salary cap considerations, and timing that can change by the hour. Yet, the rumor itself has accomplished what few announcements can. It has created a sense of electric anticipation around the team and united fans in shared excitement and hope. For now, Buffalo remains a city caught between rumor and reality, eagerly watching every hint and every report. Should this deal go through, the Bills wouldn't just be making a roster move. They would be sending a statement to the entire league. The city of Buffalo is ready to compete at the very highest level, and with MICAH Parsons in the fold, the NFL might be about to witness a defensive revolution. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.